Welcome to Global Music Mayhem, where it's all about the music.
Hi guys! I came in to give you a rundown about shows that I have been going to so that we can start talking about the tours that are going around and things that are going on. And you know, I did see Demi Lovato's tour and I totally did not come back to even chat about it yet. And that is something that I have to say, what a great tour. Dead Sara, Demi Lovato. You cannot go wrong with a tour like that. That tour package was so great. Both bands so polished, such a great live gig. And, you know, Demi is touring off of their new album. Holy fuck, what a great album. I'm like, I love that album. I can't stop playing it. It's such a great, feel everything, get it out, the anger, whatever feels you've got for an album. Yeah, that is such a great album. But, you know, the tour was great. I caught the Portland show and there was so much live everything that went right. Like the sound was phenomenal. It sounded as close to an album as you could get. The crowd was having a great time dancing. And, you know, the one thing I loved was the fact that Demi Lovato had brought Nita Strauss to the band. There were a lot of metalheads who flipped out over that. Some really nasty stuff said along the way. There was a lot of supportive stuff as well. But I knew that there was a reason that Nita would go with Demi. And I got my answer. What a great show. Great time to see what new stuff Nita is doing and how Nita is so versatile and can do whatever she wants. Like, she got her moments on the stage. You know, Demi is the solo artist, but Nita was right up in there, flipping her hair, up on the edge of the stage, doing her thing with the guitar. Like a great, great time. Demi also was really cool about thanking her band and giving a moment to name all of her members and let people know who they were and acknowledging what they do to help their tour. Such a great time. And then, of course, Emily Armstrong from Dead Sara and Demi have a song called Help Me off the new album that they did together. They did a live performance of it. I've got video up on the channel already. I've also got another video on the channel from the Demi show. Go check that out if you haven't. The next show after that I actually got to was Raven and Riot Act. And so cool. British heavy metal. You can never go wrong with Raven. It is diehard metalheads, headbanging, singing along, having a great time. They did their 40th anniversary of their album called Wiped Out entirety. It was so cool. They also did a few other songs outside of that album as well. And Riot Act actually, they did some of the original Riot music and had the original guitar player, I believe it's, I hope I don't get this wrong, Rick Ventura, was playing with them as well. Such a cool show. If you're a diehard metalhead, you can never go wrong with a Raven tour. They blazed across America and had a great time. Yeah, so video is up on my channel. I've got some Raven videos. I got a Riot Act video. Let's head on into the recent stuff I just did. Last week, Band-Maid. Band-Maid came on Wednesday, October 12th, my birthday. Can you talk about the best birthday present? Yes, that was so cool. Sold out crowd at the Neptune Theater. The lines were all the way down the street around the venue, and it was so cool. We weren't really sure because a lot of us were talking in line as well about what was going to happen on this tour because we hadn't heard if there was any opening support for the tour. We got into the show. The show was supposed to start at 8 o'clock. Around 8:20 the show started, and it was only Band-Maid, so that was really cool. Like bands like this that have enough of a catalog and the fan base, we're not going to fault you if you don't have any kind of other support on your tour. We are happy if you do a show of nothing but just your music and take that extra time to do like a full big set. I will never argue with that. It was such a cool experience because, you know, Band-Maid played Aftershock as their first tour. Well, not really, I guess it's the tour date, but it was a festival date. And then their regular tour was the kickoff here in Seattle. Fans of all ages came, a great time. We had a lot of people dressed up like maids, a show of support. A lot of people in Band-Maid shirts already. Let me tell you, the merch offerings are fantastic. You got to get there, get your merch, make time to get some merch. I got a really cool Band-Maid shirt. I'm so excited to have like a new Band-Maid shirt, right? So, you know, it was a great time. The band really did a great job interacting back and forth, either whether it was talking or whether they were playing, and just the interactions with the fans, the interactions between the band members themselves. Such a great time. You know, I think you can never go wrong with a Band-Maid show. And those of you who have Band-Maid on your list that are still waiting for your date, you're going to have a fantastic show. There's so much live video out there of the shows that have already happened. I've got a couple videos up. I've been watching other people's videos from my show, from other shows that have happened. We're all talking about the band. We're all talking about the shows. Go watch them. It's not going to take away from your show. It's just going to make you so much more excited for what's coming your way. Every show is going to be a little bit different experience for everyone, and everyone's looking for something different than what their person standing next to them is looking for. You're going to have a great time. All I can say is, I don't know if there's support on any other shows, so do not be late for your show. We only got the late start because they had some sound issues, and that happens usually on the first 1 or 2 dates of a tour, that there's a couple sound issues to work out. That's what happened to our show. It happened before the show, and then during the show there was a part where, just one of the monitors wasn't working and they couldn't get the sound, so we had a few minute break where they talked a little extra long. So that's what happened with our show. If you see some of the video with the little extra talking, it's because there were some sound issues. But if you're coming up on a date, don't be late. The lines were really long for ours. It took us a while to get in, so don't be late to where you're stuck still trying to get inside either, because if it's just Band-Maid, you're going to miss like the first part of the show. And they started off our show, I believe it was what did they start off with? Sense. So yeah, you don't want to miss it. If Sense is your favorite song, you don't want to miss that. Like, you want to be inside, right? That's all I can say. All right. So great time, great crowd. It was so much fun. Yeah, you cannot go wrong with the Band-Maid show. On to my next show this week. So you guys know I had mentioned I had tickets for One OK Rock in Portland, and I was trying to work out a Seattle date. I managed to get a Seattle ticket, so I skipped the Portland date because I didn't want to do like the 6-7 hour like round trip drive. But I'm kind of kicking myself because Taka jumped out into the crowd, but he was upstairs in the bar, and that's usually where I would kind of sit for a show like that. I was like, dang it, I could have been there, right? But anyway, so I didn't do that one, but man, the photos and video that came out of that show were really fantastic. I did Saturday, Thundermother and Scorpions. The Swedish rock and rollers, Thundermother, are fantastic. I love them. They have been kicking around making good rock and roll since like 2010, I believe. And then in 2017, they had this big lineup shift to the band, which brought new vocals and everything. So the sound shifted quite a bit. And then over their albums that have come out, Thundermother, Heatwave, and then Black and Gold, the sound has definitely shifted around a bit, and I think this last album was probably one of the best albums they've done. I was so blown away by it. It's so good. It's such a good album. And when they were opening for the Scorpions here in Tacoma at the Tacoma Dome, they did most of the tracks were off of their new album, and I've been listening to it, digesting it like crazy, and I'm singing along. Like, I know the words, all the words. I love the new album. And then some of the old songs, and because I know them too. What a great time. I spent some time talking with fans before the show, in the intermission, then after the show as well, asking them if they'd heard of Thundermother, and a lot of people had never heard of Thundermother before, and they were completely blown away by how good they were. They was such an unexpected treat for music for them, because on the beginning of this tour, it was supposed to have Whitesnake as well, and the Whitesnake had to drop off the lineup. So it turned out to be a really great time, and I was watching people. I was there actually in the photo pit doing some photos, Thundermother for coverage, and then I'm just kind of looking around at people's faces. I got that moment just to kind of turn around and look at people and be like, yeah, they're coming around to the holy thunderground of Thundermother, right? Oh, so cool. So then at the end of their set, they announced a surprise meet and greet. And it was so cool because a lot of bands are charging for these meet and greets today. And I know some of them, it's kind of a bread and butter thing. It helps to break the bottom line, but Thundermother was like, we're going to be at the back of the venue after the Scorpion set's over. Come back there, meet us, come say hi, shake our hands, get photos, autographs. We're going to wait. They waited and met everybody in line, took photos with whoever wanted them. Such a cool time. And they're such genuine, nice people that they just had such a great time with people. Great time. They only have 2 dates left on the tour. And I think today is one of those, today or tomorrow. So you want to, if you're in those last 2 dates, you want to make sure you catch them. And I know a lot of my friends across the country had not heard of them and were so surprised by them as well. I've been asking people along the way what everybody thought, and everybody really loved them. So yes, because Thundermother needed that great big blast to North America, and they got it. And now they've got this instant love here, and I've been wanting them to have that. So yay to Thundermother. Oh my gosh. And thank you, ladies, for letting me to come out and cover you guys. So the Scorpions, you can't ever go wrong with the Scorpions show either. I've been watching those guys since like the 80s. And I think the first time I ever saw them was at the Tacoma Dome back in the 80s as well. Like I'm a diehard of forever, right? They played from their catalog. Like, they've got such a huge catalog. They picked some of the favorite hits that people love along the way. Wind of Change, they did that one. They do that pretty much every tour. That's the one where it used to be all the lighters, but now it's like the phones and stuff. Sometimes you'll see a lighter though. There are some of those people who do still carry their lighters. That's always fun to find when you see that in the crowd. But they played Wind of Change on this tour, and they dedicated Wind of Change to the Ukraine. Scorpions have never shied away from talking about things in like the political view. So it's something I was not shocked to see them say anything about it. It's good to see the support that they have and that they still talk about things that matter. That's the one thing about Scorpions. They like to talk about things that matter. And I like that. And it's not like overdone in your face. Like sometimes people just want to get on the soapbox and they want to completely preach about things. It's not like that. It's just they were talking about how much they support them and they're standing with them. And it was really cool to see them dedicate that song to them. And they changed up some of the lyrics to say Ukraine. Really cool moment. I will have a video of that up on my channel. They did some of the stuff off their new album, Rock Believer. And it was really... It's kind of like you could tell in the crowd, like people who hadn't listened to the album yet or kind of have sort of slowly kind of like maybe like glanced over it but didn't really pay attention while listening. But you could see those who'd actually really got into the album and those who just kind of like were kind of digesting it at that moment. And so it was really cool to see that bit. And then they played, you know, some of just the old school tracks that people love, the old, how it is with Scorpions, the fog on the stage, rolling down the front of the catwalk and everybody's doing their thing. And it is so cool. And then you had, you know, just like the final thing, there was Mickey D got to do his 5-minute solo and the drums. We didn't really get to see him the whole show because his kit's so high up there, you can't really see it. And at the end of his solo, he got up and he was like, yeah! And we were like, yeah, we got to see Mickey, aside from just the big cameras that they have, like the back boards, the LED displays they have. That was cool that they had those though, because it made for like a really cool backdrop for their whole show. They like really cool like stage prop setup. The way it was really cool. Like I love how they always like the lighting and everything in their shows are always so fun, good stuff. So if you get a chance to see one of these last dates, or if you've seen Thundermother and Scorpions Below as well, and you feel the same way, or if you just discovered Thundermother, go ahead and start firing away in the comments on that one. So I'm gonna get into my last one. One OK Rock. Oh my gosh. So they had two openers, Fame on Fire and You and Me at 6. I didn't know either of the openers, which was weird because Fame on Fire's got about 60,000 followers on one of their socials and then similar on one of their other socials. But then You and Me at 6, they got like 1 million followers on their Facebook and like some god awful like up close to there on Instagram as well. And I'm like, have I never heard of these guys, right? But they're a little more popish and everything. And then Fame on Fire is a little heavier. So it was kind of a mixed bag on those two openers. It was a different experience for each set. You could tell who knew the bands for the openers because when I walked in, Fame on Fire was already on stage and there were people in the back already jumping up and down, having a really great time. I got a little bit of video from their set and I'm not sure if I got the whole song or not because they had this weird breakdown during the middle of the song. And so I wasn't sure if they were continuing to go after that into a different, or if it was a different song. I couldn't really tell the breakup because a couple of their songs kind of sounded so similar. It was like, and then they did a cover of Linkin Park. So the fans were having a good time with that one. Then You and Me at 6 came on. It was kind of a weird, like, the first song was, you know, you kind of got us a little heavier, and then they got, like, the next song was kind of, like, more poppy dancey, and people were jumping around, and then they just played they really good set, you know, that interaction back and forth. They didn't have a lot of lighting most of their show. Their stage was really dark, so it's kind of hard to see them. So you were basically like, okay, I could have just put an album on and listened to them because I can't really see them. So that was kind of a weird thing to me. I hate it when bands do that. We're like, hey, let's go on stage and let's not really have any lights. Well, I'll just stay home and listen to an album, right? Like a lot of metal bands, especially like metalcore and grindcore stuff, they just don't want to have lights. And it's like, I don't want to pay for your show if I can't see you on stage, right? Like, I mean, it's hard enough to see the stage last night because I'm 5'8" and I felt short compared to a lot of the people there. And I don't know how, I got this guy in front of me and I was like, okay, he doesn't seem like he's that much taller than me, but I didn't realize he's leaning over his girlfriend. And when the show started, he was like, hello, I'm here. And it was like, oh man, I stood in the wrong spot, right? But yeah, so that's the one thing. I think the one drawback for the You and Me at 6 is like their lighting was just like a couple songs you could really see them and the others you just couldn't see them at all. And I don't think that's right. Like turn the lights on and let the fans see you when you're actually performing. It was kind of a weird kind of thing. Then the break came and fans were getting restless. And I'm talking, this is like sold out crowd. Like I don't normally come into the Showbox Soto and they don't, where like usually the back of the floor venue is like, it's barriered off and it's a bar. Last night it's all ages floor. So they had no barrier back there and the crowd was all the way back. And so sold out shows are a little different. Like sometimes you'll go, they'll say it's sold out, but then they've got that bar area and there's nobody back there or there's like 10 people back there. I'm like, that's not really sold out, right? No, last night was sold out. One of those where you get to your spot, like you walk in, the first thing you do, You walk in, go to the bathroom because you know you're not going to go to the bathroom the rest of the set because you don't want to lose wherever you're going to stand, right? I found my spot, and I like to stand by this area that's like a little stairs that go up towards the bathrooms and into the upper bar, because there's nobody can stand on the stairs there because of the fire regulations. So like you can stand there and hold your phone up the whole time if you want to take video and you're not blocking a single person. That was the one thing last night. Like phones were up all night long. I think everybody had their phones up, like especially when 1OK Rock came on. Every single person's phone was up, and nobody looked around behind the shoulder to see if they were blocking anybody. Like you just couldn't like, and I think a lot of people towards the further back had to hold their phones up just so they could see the show. It was crazy. But man, what a great show. So they started the show out with Save Yourself, and the crowd totally went bananas. It was crazy, jumping up and down. Great time. I was kind of curious though. I was wondering if there were going to be any people like wanting to crowd surf. Like, I mean, I know it's 1OK Rock, like is not like the heavy metal stuff, but like I could see people crowd surfing for something like this, like the energy, just because the energy in the room was so great. I would be like, why didn't they want to crowd surf? Because I would think people would want to come over and be close to the band, right? Who knows? But it was so packed. There was no room to move around. If people were jumping and you were in the area they were jumping, you kind of had to jump because you were kind of next to them and they were lifting, or you were just going to get crushed, right? But that's why I stand towards the back a little bit more, shows like that, because I don't want to get crushed in the crowd, right? Oh, but it's so great. They played a lot of songs off the new album. They played other songs off of other albums, but it was mostly focused on the new album, Luxury Disease. And I could tell who had already heard the album and who like really digested the album by who was around me singing along with me, because we were all singing. We knew the lyrics. We weren't faking the funk. I had my ear protection in, so I could hear people around me singing, like, if somebody's got the lyrics or not because you can hear them. Yeah, we were all singing and having a great time. Oh, such a great time. And of course, the band had moments where they had songs laid out to where we could actually sing along, like meant to do that. Crowd jumping up and down, having a great time. There were moments where, the Taka stopped and he would talk to the fans. And I've got some video of that, and I believe I put it on my Instagram. I'll find a way to get you guys some of that video so you guys can see it, whether I link it or not. But like, there's one point where he's like standing on stage, and then there's this guy, like somehow like somebody must have lifted him up or something, and he's like kind of up half body hanging out of the crowd, and they're kind of talking like this kind of thing back and forth, you see, and then like hands are all up and the lights going, you can see like the crowd. It just brings this like infectious vibe like of how great the show was. Like that, it's just like, oh, you see something like you see something like that, and it's like, oh, I wish I would have been at that show, or I was at that show, and oh god, that's exactly how I felt. Like that's what came through. Like it was so cool. And they did an acoustic track at the end, and they ended it with American Girls. Like they did like the finale. Like they went through their show and said, okay, bye, we're leaving. And then they came back for 2 more songs. So good. Such a good show. And at one point, Taka jumped out off the stage into the crowd. And he did that in Portland too. He went up to the bar and jumped out in the crowd. But he jumped out in the crowd and he just went up to the barrier and just like leaned in. And like at first he was like kind of standing up. Like here's like the person in the crowd and he's up here. And then all of a sudden like it's like this. And you're like, oh my God, did they pull him in or is he? But he was just in there singing like, and everybody, you could see like, if you could see people's phones like right up on his face to get the video of him like being that close to them. But it was so cool. Like, yeah, it was so cool. These guys are so full of energy, and I don't know how they have so much energy to do what they do night after night, because they've been on a long run of shows, and the amount of energy they used last night, like it's so hard to get that same amount of energy every single night, and they just brought it. It was so much fun, and they rehearsed before the tour. There were videos out on their Instagram of them doing rehearsals. Like they coordinate that, and they get their movements, and it builds that muscle memory of what they're doing, and because you wonder how they remember to do everything. But it was just so much fun. I can tell you this was my first show. It'll never be my last, because I want to see them now every time they come through, because what a great show. I ran into friends at the show I didn't know were going to be there. They were surprised to see me there, and I was like, wait, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And I love this band. I love this band. No, I love this band. I love this band. So we had a great time. Just a great show. It was a good show for Seattle, because sometimes you'll go to Seattle shows and it's like a toxic crowd, and people just go and they want to like hurt people in the crowd. Like they want to just like mosh, or like some of the metal shows especially, like you go in and you just can tell people are like looking at your eyes like, I see you and I'm gonna come for you. Like you don't want to be in the crowd, right? You didn't get that last night. It was just like a love fest of music and just people dancing and singing and jumping up and down and having a really good time. It was a hot, sweaty show. It was so hot in the venue. It was, yeah, everyone was sweating. And for those of you guys who kind of been going on and off on tours, or haven't kind of gone back to shows yet, at my shows that I went to, like if you're worried about like getting sick, like because I know some people there's still kind of the temperature out there on COVID that people have. They're worried about going to shows. You know, wear a mask if you want one. Nobody's bothering anybody at shows or making fun of anybody for masks. Nobody's saying, hey, take your mask off. Nobody's saying, hey, put your mask on either. Like people are going and just having a good time and respecting each other's space to do that. It's a fun and safe environment. And that's the one thing I felt last night at the end of this run of shows. I just kind of felt like I can breathe again. Like I've just kind of been in this space where, you know, I got really sick over summer because of my autoimmune disease that I live with. And I had to drop a lot of things that I normally do. And my immune system couldn't take being around a lot of people and doing shows. And so it kind of crushed me because losing that live music, because I'm like, summertime for me is like my summer festivals and being around people. And it brings in that, like the reminder of the depression a lot of us have gone through since 2020 and throughout this pandemic. And finishing the show last night and that show high that you get, just the endorphins you get from having that much fun and enjoying yourself, reminding me that like live music is my drug of choice. Like that is what makes me happy, that makes me feel good inside. It just brings that life is not so heavy feeling to me. And if you've been on the fence about going back to shows or whatever, go to the shows, enjoy them. It's nice to see the bands getting their livelihood back. It's nice to see fans getting out of this depressed zone that they've been in, or repressed zone that they've been in as well. Yeah, get out there, get some live music. And like I said, I've got videos of all these bands I've been talking about. Some are already up on my channel. Throughout the week, I'm going to throw the rest of the videos up. So there's going to be a lot of live content coming this week. Check out some live shows. Tell me what you guys have been seeing. Have you caught any of these tours that I just talked about? If you did, fire away. Let me know, like, what were your favorite moments? Were there any surprises for you? If you guys caught the Scorpions tour and you didn't know Thundermother, were you surprised by them? Did it kind of shock you? Yeah, that's like the whole kind of question. And then again, like the One OK Rock lineup, like, were you like me and didn't know any of the openers and you're kind of like, okay, who are these guys? Or did you know and you were diehards and already went and you were like, okay, this is a great lineup because I know all three of the bands. I'd like to know what your thoughts are on that. Also, if you guys, I just want to put this out there too. If you're a fan of the Finnish band called Electric Callboy, they used to be called Eskimo Callboy, but changed their name. They're on tour right now. If you were in their way of their tour, because I know they're here in Seattle on Sunday the 23rd this weekend. I just heard last night they had to cancel. We heard from one of the tour managers on the tour that they had to cancel the rest of their tour for an illness. So if you are set to go and that's the band you're going for, check your venues and your dates, because we know for sure the Seattle one, they are not going to be here on Sunday. So just a kind of a heads up for those of you who like that crazy band. They are so fun. But yeah, kind of a bummer. Hope they get well. But yeah, that's what's going on. There are a lot of other shows coming up. I know we've got Haru Nomori is coming here on the 25th. Miyavi is coming on November 3rd. You know, later in the year, we've got Dark Funerals tour. Amon Amarth is coming. So lots of tours are making their ways around. I know there's a lot of country tours going on right now, a lot of other pop music and stuff. So check your venues. Don't be afraid to get out and go to shows. Go and have a good time. And I'll see you guys next time with whatever comes next. It might be a reaction. It might be another review. Might be something live, who knows? But it's always about music, right? So until next time, guys, have a good one. Get out and get some music. Bye.